Hey YouTube, Dandy here. I've now reached 100 subscribers. I've had multiple YouTube accounts in the past 7 years, and this is the fastest growing one, so thanks to all of you. Since a few weeks ago, I thought that since I was reaching 100 subs that I would make a video on why I love Halo. Why we love Halo. The main point of this video is to combat the direction that 343 is taking the series, as well as those who support them, claiming that this is the route the franchise needs to take in order to survive. I'm just gonna say this now, if Halo needed to walk this path in order to succeed, then explain these three things. 1. Why did Halo sales only drop as soon as it changed? 2. Why is Halo 5 the lowest selling Halo game? And 3. Why was Halo 5's population drop sooner and more severe than even Halo 4's? Take your time. On a side note, the last time we had sales figures for a classic Halo game, they were tied to Halo 3, the best selling game in 2007, and the most played game on Xbox Live for 2 years straight. Sure, the industry has changed in the sense that every game is following in the footsteps of COD, but think about the FPS genre back when Halo entered. Most FPS games tried to be like Half-Life or Unreal Tournament or Quake, but then Halo stepped in. Now, unfortunately, Halo 4 and 5 have been following trends instead of setting them. So the rest of this video will be about figuring out why we love Halo and how to innovate Halo 6 in a way that doesn't detract from the Halo experience, unlike Halo 4 and 5. Their core gameplay. Halo is meant to be an arena shooter, and someone's gonna say, oh, but Halo 5 is an arena shooter, Dandy, what are you going on about? Halo 5 has sprint and aim down sights. What other arena shooter has these? An arena shooter is meant to harken back to the days of the 90s FPS, Environments were built around your default running speed, so no sprint. There were no tricks like ADS or bullet magnetism to artificially improve your accuracy. They were all about you and the game. Map control, aim, strategy, positioning, and a high time to kill. When Halo 5 tells you sniper sport, map control is irrelevant. When Halo 5 has auto aim and bullet curving, aim is irrelevant. When you can move around the map so quickly and just ground pound someone out of nowhere for a one-hit kill, strategy and positioning are irrelevant. Now, what do I mean by positioning? Well, for instance, in Halo 3, if an enemy just picked up the sniper rifle in the pit, if you're on that underpass, you would have seen them run towards the sniper. So, you're an idiot for being there without killing the enemy. You should have gotten out of the situation if you knew you couldn't kill the guy because you went on to pick up the sniper rifle and a well-placed headshot would have ended you. In Halo 5, if the same scenario were to occur, the player in the underpass would just avoid all danger by thruster packing out of the sniper's line of sight. Now some of you will say arena gameplay is completely irrelevant now, but it isn't. We've got Doom, we've got Unreal Tournament, and Toxic, and people really dig them. Halo evolved the arena shooter, however. First, it's pretty obvious. It introduced a regenerating shield, but not regenerating health. What this did was make you a beast going into conflict, but once your shields went down, Chief was vulnerable. This humanized Chief. If you were reckless enough to get your vitality down to 1 bar, you wouldn't even think of letting your shields drop. Not only did this further humanize Chief, but it took the player's strongest characteristic and turned it into a weakness. It was a genius way of conveying danger to the player, and it gave permanent consequences for recklessness, thus encouraging strategy. Halo 5 brought back health, but it is completely pointless as it regenerates automatically, and very quickly at that. Second, Halo brought large-scale outdoor environments and vehicular combat to the arena shooter. This went a long way to expand the sandbox and establish Halo as a pioneering FPS. Third, you could carry only 2 weapons at once, which encouraged players to develop a playstyle of their own and strategize. You couldn't just go guns blazing with the rocket launcher, switch out to the sniper, clear out some goons with the shotty, and then go back to business with the pistol. You had to make sacrifices. In Halo 5 though, the strategy is grab the SMG or storm rifle and rip through enemies like they're paper. Hell, even the assault rifle is too strong. The AR shouldn't be a jack of all trades. It should be a close quarters solution, and in the original trilogy, I use it in conjunction with a headshot weapon and switch to the AR when entering close range. And that's my playstyle. In Halo 5, however, if met with a medium to long range firefight, you're carrying an AR and you see a BR on the ground, it won't even be necessary to switch weapons. You know, the original trilogy's weapons and balancing facilitated any playstyle, whilst Halo 5 and Halo 5's massive weapons armory did not result in a larger sandbox. The whole meta is just assault rifles. Halo is meant to be one of those pick up and play games that is easy to learn but difficult to master. I versed one of my mates on Reach one time. I gave him infinite rockets and infinite jetpack, whilst I had no armor ability and a mere pistol. I still destroyed him in that game because I was more skilled than him. However, in Halo 5, if one player had an overshield and infinite rockets, or like infinite anything, any minute advantage over the other player, they would always beat an opponent who had either a BR or a DMR, because skill doesn't really matter anymore. In the original trilogy, if you were a skilled player, there was always a way to win, but in Halo 5, you either get jumped on or you just run away without investing any skill. Fleeing from a battle should be a tactical decision, one that takes as much skill and thought as engaging in one. There's so many tactical situations and thoughts that can sprawl from a single, simple firefight in classic Halo, but in Halo 5, you know how the fight will turn out. One player saw the other first, they both thrust a pack. Either the first person who started shooting wins, or the person who got shot at first just thrust the packs away. How to innovate Halo? So obviously Halo 4 and 5 are terrible, horrible Halo games. So how do we make a classic Halo game that's A, modern, and B, financially viable? I'll just put it out there and say that Microsoft can make a monopoly of the classic Halo, as that gameplay is nowhere to be seen on the market, and there's a huge crowd lingering for this type of gameplay. But how do you modernize Halo? See, people complain about COD being the same game every year because COD is fundamentally broken and requires change. Halo, on the other hand, was pretty much amazing, if not perfect in the eyes of most gamers. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Halo's movement was simple but perfect, so we didn't need enhanced mobility. Some aspects needed change or improvement or innovation. For instance, in Halo 1, when on foot when confronting a vehicle, half the time, if not like 90% of the time, you just got run over if you didn't have a rocket launcher. So Halo 2 introduced hijacking as a means of skillfully surviving the situation. Second, after balancing all the weapons out in Halo 2, Bungie thought of a genius way to spice up gameplay but not significantly alter the flow of it. This was called dual wielding. Now, a lot of 343 fans might say, "Oh, dual wielding is broken, oh, it was OP, oh, it ruined Halo." No. Dual wielding wasn't bad at all, because for the second time in a row, it encouraged players to find their playstyle by offering so many different combinations of weapons. At that, dual wielding was most effective at close range, which still meant that the BR or carbine was your medium range solution. In Halo 2, you spawned with the SMG and pistol, two dual wieldable weapons in different pockets. Obviously, it was slightly annoying that you spawned with two dual wieldable weapons that you couldn't dual wield, so Halo 3 started you off with the AR for close quarters and the pistol as a last resort sort of weapon. You would then scavenge the map for your medium range solutions, and then use them to contest for power weapons, map control people. Halo 3 also introduced equipment which a skilled player could use to survive, but a weak player could only use to delay the inevitable. There was a large skill gap in Halo, and all of the changes contributed to enlarging that skill gap. All of the changes made during the original trilogy didn't radically change Halo into something else. All of the changes reinforced the core gameplay in some way, and that's how innovating a franchise should work. The spin dash reinforced sonic speed. The wall jump reinforced Mega Man as a platformer. And the cover mechanic in Rainbow Six Vegas reinforced Rainbow Six as a slow-paced tactical shooter. Sprint did not reinforce Halo's core gameplay. What it did was change map design so that Sprint didn't completely break the experience, but they made Sprint not break the experience by enlarging the maps. But by doing this, close quarters was killed, so they remedied this by fucking even more shit up. They lowered the TTK. The changes 343 have made are so depressing. Like, what the hell, dude? Just stop, honestly, and make Halo 6 the Halo we want and deserve. So, in order to make Halo 6, we need to go back to the drawing board. Alright, so we have a simple shooter with basic mechanics. You move, jump, shoot, melee, crouch. So let's add the Halo innovations. You have two weapons, the grenade has its own button, you can use vehicles, and your shield regenerates. Alright, so let's add what Halo 2 and 3 brought to the table. Hijacking, dual wielding, equipment, and more grenade types. What do we add from here? Some people like assassinations, and for the longest time I thought that all they did was waste time, that you could have used shooting at the guy coming at you. But then I realized that they do have a gameplay purpose. They negate the effects of fall damage. This increased the skill gap as a stronger player in Reach could use this to save themselves from some damage, if not death, if they didn't have a jetpack. However, you should only have assassinations if you have fall damage. Fall damage in Halo 4 was pretty much irrelevant and Halo 5 doesn't even have it, so again, only have assassinations if fall damage affects the verticality of combat. The only new mechanics since Halo 3 that I can conclusively agree with are Reach's updated parrying and changing seats in the vehicle without having to exit the vehicle. The latter of which would be especially useful in a bad checkpoint in a campaign where you'd either be gunned down from the driver's seat or you're about to fall off a cliff but exiting from the driver's seat won't save you. That's happened to me more than once on Legendary over an hour through the level. What else can we do for Halo to enhance the gameplay without shifting focus? I actually have some neat ideas, and guess what 343, they aren't changes to the overall gameplay. I know, shocking that it's even possible. First one is obvious, we need new game types. In my first Halo 5 video, I spoke of a Scarab Assault game type where a team must fend off a Scarab attack. I spoke of a game type where one team invades another team's frigate. How about full-on space battles? Some Star Wars shit, yo. I wanna see long swords, sabers, banshees, pelicans, phantoms, seraphs, frigates, coveted supercarriers, and everything else in Halo that ever talked to the stars. Another idea, the direction you hold the right analog stick while swinging a gravity hammer influences the direction of its force. For instance, flinging the stick right when hitting a warthog with the hammer will make the hog go flying rightwards. I said earlier that it's slightly annoying to spawn with two dual wieldable weapons that you can't dual wield since they're in different pockets, so how about make it so that you can dual wield on the fly if you are carrying two dual wieldable weapons? How about make it so that you can drop an equipped weapon to speed up weapon management within the team and hopefully somewhat prevent or delay team killing for the sniper. Just neat little things, you know, you don't need to modernize the game for it to be successful in the market. You know why Counter-Strike has been the tactical shooter ever since its premiere in 1999? Because it never alienated its rightfully loyal fanbase. In addition, Counter-Strike's gameplay is nowhere else on the market, so anyone who wants a Counter-Strike-like will have to play Counter-Strike. Sound familiar? Halo's gameplay is found nowhere on the market, not even in Halo. So Microsoft should monopolize classic Halo once more if they're serious about this franchise lasting another 30 years, as they say. Community features. Split screen, split screen, split screen. More than any other community feature, split screen was the biggest selling point of Halo for friends and family, and introduced more people to Halo than 343's effortless pandering ever could. Split screen was one of the defining features of Halo. Split screen is a key feature of Halo. It is the start menu to Windows, lid to the bottle, bread to the butter, dihydrogen to the monoxide. That makes water, by the way. Halo and split screen are inseparable, which is one of the many reasons that Halo 5 is not Halo. When I was 8, my best friend asked, "Yo, you wanna play Halo?" while he was at my place. That one moment changed my life, not only as a gamer, but as a person. Halo affects people's lives, and by association, split screen could very well be the trigger. Fuck all of the hermits who say that split screen is an outdated concept, and that Xbox Live's robustness remedies the need for being in the same room as someone and having a good time. But, you know, cause like, in split screen, you're doing crazy shit. Everyone's laughing, you hear the banter, you see the facial expressions, you taste the food, everyone's having a fucking blast. You feel all of this, which is just something you don't get over a shitty webcam and a dodgy microphone that picks up even the slightest noise of someone's pants rubbing against one of their ballsack wrinkles. Even if the technical limitations argument for the removal of split screen is somehow valid, that still doesn't excuse the removal of LAN. There's no technical excuse for that. All they did by doing this was kill LAN parties, and what do you get from LAN parties in most console games? Competitive communities. For a lot of people, their social pastime is video games, competitive or not. Halo could be competitive, or it could be straight up wacky, which leads me to my next point. Custom games, man, and Forge. They pretty much made Halo Sandbox infinite with the possibilities, especially since there were so many game types to customize. Halo 5, however, is lacking in game types and is lacking in an effective way to share community creations. As a result, Halo 5's community features are moot. Halo 3 and Reach had a file share. Halo 3 had Bungie favorites. You could search for maps, theater clips, and game types by someone's gamertag, and then Reach took it a step further by showing the most popular community content of the week and letting you search by map name. Look at how much stuff has been done with an unmoddable game. Now imagine if Halo 3 and Reach had the modding tools that Halo PC had, and the tools that we were promised Halo 2 Vista would have. Halo's community would be unstoppable, man. It would be like Skyrim's modding community. The community is what supported Halo 3 and Reach, what kept their populations even after Halo 4 came out. We shouldn't have to resort to honor rules to compensate for the lack of game types. We need all of Halo's staple features and game types in their fullest form on launch day. We need to be able to fuck up everything for a custom games night, where you and your mates experience so many variables that your head explodes. From Infection alone, so many game types were birthed, such as Jenga, Fat Kid, and Cops and Robbers. From Assault, we got Griffball, which kicks so much ass. We need game types and game type customization to expand Halo Sandbox in multiplayer. We need campaign theater. The campaign also has a huge sandbox, so not being able to share a clip or a screenshot of something cool takes away from the community element of Halo. If you want to promote your game, just say it has a vibrant community and people will come to it, because people want content, they want experiences, and they want a social aspect to their games. Turns out that even though Xbox Live is so robust, it still didn't bring about community features in Halo 5. We need armor to be unlocked by challenges. Challenges such as the Vidmasters encouraged people to work together for a common goal. And it wasn't just the armor that was so rewarding, it was the journey there with your fellow Halo players that was the most satisfying. The armor was just proof of the experience, and it gave you the reputation as the guy who did X or the guy who did Y. Rex in Halo 5, however, amount to luck and microtransactions, which is beyond stupid. Halo is so expansive that it still hasn't been fully explored, so 343 should let us venture into the limitless possibilities of Halo Sandbox. I mean, it's one thing for Halo to be able to claim that it has a huge story universe, but then another for it to say that it has a gameplay universe as well. It's just so surreal to me how Bungie managed to pull off this wild game series. All of these years later, and I'm still talking about how amazing it is, and it's all thanks to community features, most notably split screen. Halo needs its community, and its community needs Halo. It is a mutually beneficial, symbiotic relationship that needs to happen. That lore, that story, that writing. I said earlier that Halo changed me as a person. It introduced me to science fiction, science in general, and futurism. It got me into philosophy. It made me think about extraterrestrial life, artificial intelligence, the price of life. It was also genius. I'll play a sample from one of B-Dobbin's videos. He's a genius. I love his shit and you should too. I don't mean to rely on other YouTubers for my videos, but I couldn't have worded this any better than he did.
With something like Halo, this is a game that played a huge part in many of our childhoods, right? It was an experience and it left an imprint on who we are as people, as all experiences do. What that experience consists of for many of us is the way it provoked thought and emotion. It was an intellectually stimulating experience. It made us think about the origins of humanity. It helped bring into context for many people just how big and old the universe is. When we look at something like the Covenant, it was a philosophical dissection of how much power can be wielded based on a lie. There are so many real-life parallels to be drawn there. It was fascinating to see how the Covenant as a scapegoat united humanity. The moral implications of kidnapping children, augmenting them without their consent, but for the survival of humanity. Would you do it? Learning about the role that artificial intelligence plays in the triumphs and failures of civilization, and even all the sci-fi stuff. It was fiction, but most of it was based on actual theoretical science, things like the Dyson Sphere, Master Chief's armor, Cortana. It made its players think about things, about big picture stuff that actually does have relevance to the real world, to mankind, and our role in the universe. Halo made me feel. I was sad when Cortana died. I was sad when Captain Keyes died, and later when his daughter went down too. I was fucking mortified when Sergeant Johnson was betrayed, and I felt good when I ended his betrayer. I was pumped when the chief was all like,
"Sir, permission to leave the station."
For what purpose, Master Chief?
"To give the Covenant back their bomb."
Permission granted.
The story of the Halo games could be interpreted as either a deep, well put together story that wasn't just black and white, with so many themes and concepts, memorable characters and dialogue, or it could be interpreted as a popcorn sci-fi shoot the bad guy space marine story that backed up the gameplay. Either way, the game still told a coherent narrative, and if you liked the story, it inspired you to dig into the expanded universe to learn more. I know people hate reading, but the Halo Expanded Universe is fantastic, and I suggest that every Halo fan should at least read Fall of Reach. Ignore that crappy Fall of Reach film that took everything that made the book great, took out important concepts, and had nothing to do with the Fall of Reach itself. Seriously, it's just about the upbringing of Master Chief. It has nothing to do with Reach falling. Halo 4 was a huge shift in direction for the story that was engaging for lore fans such as myself, but the cutscenes were too long and important for the game itself for someone who isn't a lore fan, which I'm assuming is a large majority of the fan base. Halo 5 drew in aspects from the expanded universe but didn't dwell upon them. If you didn't read every piece of Halo canon ever, you won't even understand any of the story in Halo 4 and 5. You don't know why there's Covenant following Halo 3. I thought we finished the fight. Well, why are we fighting elites after Halo 3? I thought they were our homies after Halo 2, man. If you didn't read the books, you don't know who Blue Team is, you don't know who Vale and Tanaka are, you don't know what the mantle of responsibility is. Like, you don't know anything. Just saying 343, people don't like books. Sure, encourage people to look into the EU, but don't force them to. 343 also changed some other things. 343's interpretation of the Forerunners is in complete disrespect to that of Bungie era Halos. 343's Forerunner is the equivalent of the midichlorians, and in a lot of ways, 343 has a lot of parallels with Lucasfilm. Both of them failed at creating a new saga that respects the old and its fanbase, whilst also failing to re-release the original trilogy without just completely fucking it up. Anywho, the Forerunners and the Flood were always mysterious in all aspects. The Flood were seemingly mindless, but once amassing all knowledge, a Gravemind was born and dictated a communist zombie army. No, really, think about it, the Flood are communists. The Forerunners built strange worlds. They erected strange structures that seemed to have no purpose, but they still existed. They had weird architectural and aesthetic designs that didn't appear to be random. They had a purpose, but not one that we could interpret. They were surreal and mysterious, and really showed us how big the universe is. The scale of the universe and the unknown is scary, so it was tragic for humanity to be scared of the Forerunners, and for the Covenant to worship the Forerunners, as I believe that Bungie intended for the Forerunners to be ancient humans. Look at the evidence in thematics, people. Only humans can interface with Forerunner technology. Guilty Spark outright calls Chief a Forerunner in the last mission of Halo 3. The Prophet of Truth encourages Johnson to activate the Halo array by saying that gods must be strong, and anyone who's read Contact Harvest will know that Truth had some skepticism over the Covenant religion. And the fact that both human and Forerunner constructs possess the Marathon logo. And then we have all of the concept art of the Forerunners, even before 343 stepped in. All this, it just seals the deal. Plus, it's just so thematic and makes for a genius tragedy. Humanity was unknowingly fearing themselves, which is pretty deep, as it's what millennia of war has already done to us, so we as an audience can relate to them. But it's also tragic for the Covenant, as they attacked their gods and were in a sense smitten by the gods for the heresy, hence finishing the fight. The Forerunners being a band of alien hypocrites with the whole mantle whilst being douchebags is like the midichlorians, as it ruins the thematics of something that was previously conveyed the way it needed to be conveyed, and instead now they give it a stupid explanation that contradicts prior lore. If they were to reveal the identity of the Forerunners in a Halo 4 remake, I think you should be at the end of the game on the Hardlight Bridge. I have some cool ideas for this, but this video isn't about fanfiction, cause if it was, I would just stoop down to Brian Reed's level, and after the travesty that was Halo 5, we all know that we need less of Brian Reed in our Halo stories. Anyways, the last thing I want to say about 343's interpretation of the Forerunners is that putting random geometric shapes isn't surreal or cool or anything like the Forerunners. Forerunner architecture was strange, yes, but it was very sophisticated and defined. They didn't need to put scary faces on things. There's still a lot more to cover about 343's version of the universe. I want to say that the Covenant Remnants, great idea. It's pretty much the only thing you could think of after Halo 3, but it should have been explained in the games and not have their leader killed effortlessly in one of the cutscenes of Halo 5's first level. Most people wouldn't even know who Jul Mdame is, so it was just a horribly executed scene and a horrible idea as well. I don't get why Chief is this messiah to the Librarian. If the Forerunners are an alien species, wouldn't it make more sense for them to imbue themselves with the destiny of saving the galaxy? It's like if us humans could gene splice to such a level that we can control the fates of people and civilization itself. Let's say we come to the disastrous effects of nuclear war. What do we do to protect the Earth? Well, what we're not gonna do is gene splice dogs, alright? We never loved Chief for being a messiah or the culmination of some prehistoric gene experiment. We loved him for being the best of the best. The one cyborg super soldier who defied every odd, who cheated death every time, and on top of that, spit some badass dialogue. Oh, and his armor's roommate happened to be a hyper-intelligent hologram with a sense of humor, and Cortana, she kicked ass as well. We love shit like...
Sleep well?
No thanks to your driving, yes.
So you did miss me.
We love shit like...
Oh, I see. The coordinate data needs to be... Right. Sorry.
We love shit like...
You look nice.
Thank you.
Shit like that was good character development, it was good writing, and it made us like the characters Bungie presented us with. Halo 4 was a really good feels trip. I won't deny that I cried at the end as well, but it didn't have half the humor the sci-fi popcorn fans wanted. Spectacle and one-liners were the reason non-lore fans watched the cutscenes, but Halo 4 had a lot of walking and talking and standing still whilst talking and not enough one-liners, and it just went far too long for people who didn't care about story. Story is important to Halo, very, but it doesn't have to be your reason to like it. It doesn't even have to be a reason to like it. It can be, but don't be a fucking idiot like Ben Kuchera, who outright says that the story isn't a reason to like Halo, which is just absurd. Yeah, listen to the guy who writes opinion articles for Polygon. Halo needs character, it needs humor, it needs mystifying alien worlds. Genesis was basically the same as Requiem, except that we only saw Genesis for 4, but technically 2 levels. 343 just fix the Halo universe with a reboot of the Reclaimer saga, alright? Just please don't ruin anything, just stop. The badass. We loved the guitars that made for some of the highlights of the levels they were featured in. Halo 2 had Blow Me Away from Breaking McFucking Benjamin, and I still listen to that song because I just like electric guitar and cause it was in fucking Halo 2. Escaping from Halos about to explode was badass and exhilarating. That cutscene where the Pelicans drop into the Ark had excellent cinematography. Going on a Scarab in Halo 2 was like, whoa, I'm on this thing and it moves, but then the Scarabs in Halo 3 could move any direction. There were multiple ways to take them down. It was just awesome every time you blew a Scarab up, especially when you fought 2 of them at the same time. We loved the banter the characters had, especially in ODST. We loved infiltrating the Truth and Reconciliation just to save one man. We loved Long Night of Solace from Halo Reach, a level that had 3 different environments. With the space combat one being a perfect idea for Halo that needs to be expanded upon, and was much better than the Star Fox plus Lego Star Wars 2 bullshit from Halo 4's last level. We remember stuff like these from these games because these moments are special. Aside from a few highlights, the Reclaimer saga is just like the Star Wars prequels. They will only be remembered as a tragedy that could have been so much better. the future of Halo. I don't know if 343 has the will to make a really good Halo game that we will love. People say Halo is still dead, others say it's doing just fine. Neither of those are true. I see Halo as a person who was a huge success, right? But got too greedy and started taking some drugs that were no good for it, let's say cocaine. 343 stepped in, but instead of giving Halo the necessary medical treatment, 343 has just been pumping Halo up with more drugs like coke. At this point, 343 really has to listen to the community because 343 was made to fill Bungie's shoes, but have instead been experimenting with the rest of the industry's shoes. If anyone knows Bungie, it's the Halo veterans, the people who have been defined to some extent by Halo, and we say 343 isn't doing what needs to be done. Sorry if I bored you with the video length, and sorry if I was a little bit incoherent, but I just had to lay down a lot of my thoughts at once. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. If you think I'm a nostalgia fanboy who should just play Halo 2, then leave your beautiful comments. Even though Halo 2 is my least favorite of the original trilogy, and even though Halo 2 multiplayer is unplayable at the moment due to Xbox Live being dead for the OG Xbox, games for Windows Live having been shut down, and the MCC being a ghost town. Dandy discussion of the day. What do you love most about Halo? This is Dandy, telling you to tell 343 why Halo is dandy. Peace.